Hello, I'm Nathan P. Butler, author of a Saga on Home Video and host of From the Star Wars Home Video Library here on YouTube, and this is Star Wars Home Video Year by Year. This time we take a look at 2013. It's kind of a big year for me because it's really the year that I dove heavily into Star Wars Home Video collecting. Obviously, things have escalated since then, but it's also a year that has some pretty cool releases coming for the live-action films and the Clone Wars. It also includes a release that is absolutely groundbreaking for completely different reasons. For context here, this is the year we found out that Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith 3D releases were cancelled. We only got Phantom Menace in theaters the previous year. We would see Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith in 3D at conventions like Celebration, but no theatrical releases, all part of sort of the restructuring of the plan for Star Wars now that Lucas had sold Lucasfilm to Disney. Also alongside that, we also see the end of the Clone Wars this year for the moment, and only sort of from a certain point of view, because Season 5 is the end of the Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. But we were already told that some of the episodes that were already finished or pretty much ready to roll for another season would wind up being released somehow in the future. They would wind up being released on Netflix in the US in 2014. It is the year of Celebration Europe. It is the sad year when LucasArts is shut down, the video game company. Now we just have Lucasfilm Games and so forth these days. And it's also the beginning of one of my favorite Star Wars book series, but in particular one of my favorite Star Wars book series to listen to in audio form that I really wish they had continued in audio form. Ian Desher's William Shakespeare's Star Wars. All of the 9 live-action films in the Skywalker saga, at least, done as Shakespeare style, basically. And some, but not all, have fully cast audio drama releases. As someone who is somewhat of a Shakespeare nerd, especially a Hamlet nerd, someone who prides in the fact that I've got a CD collection of audio dramatization versions of every single Shakespeare play from Archangel Shakespeare sitting in a closet in our hallway, I was stoked to see that, and the audio versions are definitely worth checking out if you're into that sort of thing. Again, nerd! But what do you expect from me? So first off, in the United States, we get Blu-ray DVD combo packs for the original and prequel trilogies. Not the individual films, but the trilogies themselves. So 2 years before, we had gotten a Blu-ray trilogy set if we wanted one. But now, we've actually got a DVD version of it. And this is not just the same DVD repackaged from previous years. So this wouldn't be the 2001 Phantom Menace, 2002 Attack of the Clones, 2005 Revenge of the Sith, or the 2004 versions of 4 through 6. Instead, this is actually the Blu-ray cut being put on DVD for the very first time. The Blu-rays themselves, though, were just reissues of what we saw previously in 2011. Unfortunately, though, these are just trilogy sets, which again means, just like the trilogy sets in 2011, you got the films and their commentaries on Blu-ray, and then you have the DVD versions packaged in here as well, but no sign of those 3 bonus discs from the complete saga back in 2011, though they will get reissued in the next couple of years. In some other parts of the world, like the UK, we did see similar packaging for these releases, but DVD only in this case. Same thing, say, out of Italy, for example. But they are still the 2011 cuts on DVD for the first time, which still make that noteworthy. Even more noteworthy in the UK for 2013, we actually see some Steelbook releases. Up to this point, only the Clone Wars film had Steelbook releases, and it differed by region. For example, Blu-ray in the Netherlands or DVD in the US. Well, in the UK, we get a prequel trilogy set here. Kind of an unusual J card there. A prequel trilogy Steelbook set. It is just the Blu-rays, no DVDs or anything inside. But there is one for the prequel trilogy and one for the original trilogy. We won't see individual film Steelbooks for a couple of years, so this is our first chance to get a Steelbook with the live-action Star Wars films inside. Also sticking with the live-action films here for just a moment, we had an amazing release, something that I find really, really awesome, but your mileage will certainly vary. I am a social studies teacher, so this is right up my alley. And that is a new release of A New Hope on DVD. But here's the thing. This is a special project that was started by Manuelito Manny Wheeler at the Navajo Nation Museum in Widow Rock, Arizona. And basically what he decided to do, he got together a team, was to do a full dubbing, a full audio recast, essentially, of A New Hope to preserve the Navajo language in film. There have been other attempts since then. There's actually another one for another native language that we see if you actually look on Disney+. But this was really the first time this was attempted on this kind of scale, on this visible of a product, and it actually got a DVD release there locally and briefly through Walmart stores. So this here is that Navajo release. And yes, you can watch this with the Navajo audio as well on Disney Plus now, but it doesn't include the Navajo crawl. But basically what you got here is packaging that looks like the 2006 release, but removes, the bars and whatnot that doesn't apply. Here in text at the bottom, it says translated into the Navajo language. On the spine, it says the same thing over here. Then the back has one line of Navajo there and has the rest of your sort of standard information here. Disc-wise, the label is essentially what we would see on those 2013 combo packs for the DVD discs, as we just saw a moment ago, without actually looking at the disc labels, because I knew we'd be seeing this one here. As far as the cut, it is the 2011 cut on DVD. This actually came out shortly after the combo pack, so it is not a first, but you can see why they would need to have the 2006 artwork sort of redesigned here, because at this point, there isn't a 2011 cut individual release DVD package at all recently for A New Hope. So they had to go back to 2006 and reuse that packaging art here. But this I find absolutely fascinating, a way to sort of preserve a language for future generations, kind of keep it alive by doing a full sort of classic film dubbing to gather attention, to gather support for the idea of preserving the language, and really just to kind of showcase what the language could do. It is definitely a fun one to check out. I don't understand a lick of it, but I still love it. Of course, this year also included new Clone Wars releases, the last season from Cartoon Network hitting through Warner Home Video. We have the complete Season 5 Blu-ray and DVD sets, and as it was essentially the end of that Cartoon Network run, even though we kind of already knew more was coming, we do get a big box set in the US for the first time for the Clone Wars. It doesn't include the film. It's just Seasons 1 through 5, but known as the Seasons 1 through 5 Collector's Edition. And I have seen bootlegs of these that look somewhat different, but might look the same just in a picture of the cover, so be careful trying to find these online these days. I will show you what they look like. There is a Blu-ray set and a DVD set. Or maybe it's a DVD set and a Blu-ray set. They are completely indistinguishable between each other when you've taken off the J cards from the shrink wrap. But they're nice, fancy, sort of reflective packages here with a magnetic seal. These come with an episode guide, which really isn't much of an episode guide. It's more like telling you what's on the discs, which of course are out of chronological order because they are in the aired order. There is an Art of Clone Wars book included. And the discs are then divided up into a couple of different packages. So for DVD, you've got Seasons 1 through 3 in one package, but 3 is sort of split, and then you have the rest of 3 and 5 in another package. And all the discs are basically the same discs we saw in those previous season sets, with the difference being they have new labels on them. Blu-ray was cut across 2 cases as well, in this case Seasons 1 through 3 in the first, and 4 through 5 in the second. And yes, because the packages are the same size, they do need to have a little bit of styrofoam in here to hold the Blu-ray cases for that extra height. Now, unfortunately, the second disc of Season 5 on Blu-ray had some audio sync issues, and because they were using the same disc masters as well, just with new labels for that large set, that also meant it carried over to the set. So you can actually reach out to Warner Home Video and get replacement discs for each, and they would make sure that the label matched the set you were asking for a replacement from. The UK, of course, also got Blu-ray and DVD releases of Season 5. But to me, what's really unfortunate is that when they got their complete Seasons 1 through 5 set on Blu-ray and on DVD, this is why I keep saying in the previous episodes that I'm pretty sure there were DVD releases of those other collections, because I do have a DVD release here of 1 through 5. All these were just the season sets repackaged just like they were for the ones for 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3, and 1 through 4. So you actually don't get anything special package-wise. No art book or anything like that. It's just another slipcover over a bunch of season sets that you may already have owned for the UK. Kind of disappointing when compared to those US Seasons 1 through 5 collector's editions. Sticking with the Clone Wars for just a moment, we also in Australia saw the last of their attempts to give us basically a season of the show on individual volumes rather than as a box set. So for Season 4, we got Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. They did not do so with Season 5. Speaking of those small package releases here, in the US we did get another Clone Wars release, but it's basically just a collection of previous releases. It was a so-called Clone Wars 3-pack. And what this had inside it, and it's just the same thing again, was basically repackages here. First off, A Galaxy Divided. But note, this is the Walmart version of A Galaxy Divided, for some odd reason, which means it does have 5 episodes instead of 4. And then Clone Commandos repackaged again. And then we have Darth Maul Returns from the previous year packaged in here as well. And then, of course, there was another animated product line for Star Wars at this point, the Lego Star Wars stuff on Cartoon Network. This time, we saw a release for The Empire Strikes Out. This is the second of those specials, except notice here, it's just a DVD release with a minifigure. It's got Vader with the medal there, but it's just a DVD release. How the product line has already fallen. In 2011, we saw Padawan Menace as a Blu-ray DVD combo pack with a figure. Now it's just DVD, but at least it still has the figure. Speaking of the Padawan Menace and The Empire Strikes Out, which are kind of seen as sort of their own separate thing from much of the rest of LEGO Star Wars because they were the first two before any real series started, the UK got a nice collected edition of those as well. 2 fun animated adventures, but it is just the DVDs of each. And then to round out 2013, we have a kind of weird release in the sense of what this series will eventually become. On Cartoon Network, they aired 3 episodes of a series called The Yoda Chronicles. They would eventually continue that with The New Yoda Chronicles on Disney XD. And it was essentially one long story aired half and half in different places and distributed differently because of where they were airing and how the distribution contracts worked. So you would hope that in 2013 we might be seeing the first half of the Yoda Chronicles with the Cartoon Network, let's release it through 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment chunk of Yoda Chronicles. But we don't. Not quite. Instead of 2013, we get this. LEGO Star Wars The Yoda Chronicles, which only includes the first 2 episodes of that series on DVD. This will become a big issue in the future for collectors of Star Wars home video, but not until we see how they handle the rest of the series soon. And hey, that's kind of a teaser, meaning we need to continue looking forward. So of course, join us next time as we take a look at 2014.